What's up, roofing contractors and other home service contractors and providers? My name is Michael Mignogna, and in this video, I want to go over something that I think is really, really interesting when it comes to getting leads and also closing deals, and particularly getting leads and closing deals without being the lowest priced person that the homeowner meets. How do you get leads, and more importantly, how do you close deals without being the lowest price guy? Even if you're the middle of the road or even higher end, is there a way to convince people to hire you rather than the chuck in the truck or the lower price guy? And the answer is obviously yes, or a lot of companies would go out of business. But the question is, how is it done and what's working right now? So that's what I'm going to go over in this video. And in particular, I'm going to talk about nail placement. Okay, for roofing contractors, this is for you. Nail placement. And I'm going to use that as an example of why explaining nail placement can be so effective at selling more roofs. And I'm going to talk about the psychology behind it as well. Okay, so let's get started. So when someone is deciding who to hire to replace the roof on their house, they are very fixated on the cost, because replacing a roof is not a small amount of money. And because they're fixated on the price, it's often very hard for contractors to win the job if their price is higher than someone else's. But obviously, there are many instances where the higher priced person, not necessarily the highest price, but the middle of the road priced person, or even on the higher end, wins the bid. And what has that person done to win the bid? Well, what is very effective is educating people about the various aspects of installing a roof properly, okay? And I know that that seems obvious, but I want to talk about the psychology behind it and some ways to think about it so that you can do it if you're not doing it, or do it better if you're already trying to educate people. So the first thing I want you to think about is, what do people care about the most when it comes to their roof? It's not just the price. Okay, if someone said, I'll put a roof on your house for $1,000, but it's going to leak every time it rains, that person's not going to purchase that roof. Okay? So the question is, how do you make them on their own think, I'm worried about getting the roof from the cheapest guy because there's a chance it might leak, or it's not going to protect my home, or it's not going to last very long. That really worries me. How do you get them to come to that conclusion on their own? And the reason I'm asking it that particular way, how do you get them to come to it on their own, is extremely important, because psychologically, if they can come to that conclusion, or if they have that concern on their own, if they begin feeling concerned about that without you telling them to be concerned about it, it's 1,000 times more effective than if you say to them, listen, the cheapest guy in town is going to maybe mess your roof up. Well, they're going to think, yeah, right, you're just saying that. How do you get them to think, I wonder if the cheapest guy in town is going to mess my roof up? There's a huge difference there. Okay, so here's one of the ways you can do it, and I'm going to use nail placement as the example. You simply teach them the importance of proper nail placement and depth, and why it is such an important thing to focus on when installing shingles and installing a new roof. And in doing so, if you explain it properly and all of the things that can go wrong if they're not placed in properly, then the homeowner will think to himself that you understand the importance of nail placement and therefore you do it properly. But he'll also think to himself, if he's talking so much about nail placement and the importance of it, I wonder if other roofers appreciate the importance of it as much as he does. None of them talked about it. I wonder if they don't talk about it because they don't even appreciate the importance of it. So now you've got this situation where the homeowner has learned a lot about installing a roof, just by virtue of learning the importance of nail placement. He's thinking about all the things that could go wrong if the nail is not, hammered in to the right depth and therefore creates a little hump underneath of the shingles above it, and now wind is, the roof is susceptible to wind blowing the shingles up, and then a whole host of things happen after that, like leaks and other things. They're concerned about that now. But they're also very reassured that they met you, because they think to themselves, wow, I didn't even know how important that was. It wasn't even something that was on my radar as something to be concerned about. And I feel lucky that I've met this roofing contractor, because otherwise I would have hired some schmo to install my roof, and he might not have put the nails in the right place. And I wouldn't have even known to ask or anything. God, I really dodged a bullet. That's really, really powerful for people to experience. When they do experience that, you immediately become almost like this sage wizard of roofing. You immediately position yourself as the guy who is going to give them a backstage pass and answer all of their most important burning questions about what is important when it comes to installing a roof. And let me tell you something. Paying an extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 to have that guy on your side installing the most important part of your house is a really good person to have, and that's a bargain. So let's go into it. Let's talk about it in a little bit more detail. So one of the really cool ways to come up with how to communicate this stuff to people is to ask yourself some questions. So ask yourself this: what is the proper nail placement? Explain that. Maybe write this out on a document, or practice saying it in the shower. Explain proper nail placement. Okay, if you're a salesperson and you just sell roofs, or you're a roofing business owner and you haven't really done much roofing, but you own a business and you don't know the technical stuff, learn it so that you can explain it. And talk about nail placement. Teach the importance of where it's placed on the shingle. Go to the manufacturer, go to GAF and CertainTeed and Atlas and all the other companies and find their documentation on where the nail should be placed, at what depth and where on the shingle, and learn about it. And then teach it in lay terms, maybe for 2 to 3 minutes of explanation to the homeowner who you're talking to. That's one thing you can do. Also, you should go over all of the worst possible things that can happen if the nail is not placed properly. So talk about where it should be placed, and then ask yourself, what would happen if it wasn't placed properly? What are the worst possible things? Wind damage, susceptibility, and leaks, and the whole 9 yards. Explain that. And you might even give them a story or two about, when you've gone to install a roof, and first you have to tear the shingles off. And in doing so, you can see numerous spots where nails had been placed improperly. And it was no wonder that the roof was being replaced only 14 years into its lifespan. Or it's no wonder that these people had recurring leaks over the years, and they, so that when you met them, they expressed to you how frustrated they were over the years having to deal with leaks in their roof. Like, we can see the nails are not in the right spot. This roof's been on the house for many, many years, and the nails were never done properly. I mean, if that, and you can say, and, that person, when we asked them about who installed their roof previously, they didn't even remember that they haven't heard from that company since. And, they really just purchased the roof because they were the lowest price or something like that. So, you can tell stories, and that can help people live through the pain of having made that wrong decision. So talk about the things that can go wrong if nails are not placed in the right spot. And then talk about, ask yourself, what would life for the homeowner be like if the nails are placed properly, and if the roof is done how it should be completed? And essentially talk about what life is like when you have a great roof on your house. And that seems boring, but you can mention, like, listen, a roof is supposed to protect your home from the elements outside. So when it's raining, a roof that's installed properly, there are no leaks. And there are no this and there are no that, and you don't have to worry, and blah, 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 and go into that. You don't have to limit it at nail placement. You can think of many things about a roof and its installation that you can educate people on, and basically think about those three questions. How are those things installed properly? What happens if they aren't? And what are some of the things that about installing those things that doesn't seem like common knowledge in the industry? Or what are some of the tricks of the trade that you've learned having done this so many times? And what is life like if it's all done properly? Think about those things, write them out, and have them in your back pocket to use if people ask you questions, but also use it as part of your marketing to get leads, but also to close deals. I know this particular video is a little bit all over the place, but I hope there was some stuff in here that really gets you excited to go out there and sell more effectively, but also create some marketing on your own in order to make use of the knowledge you have about roofs in order to get leads and close deals. So let me give you another example of how you might use that knowledge. You could create on your website a page about the importance of nail placement. And when you meet a client and you talk to them about their roof and you give them a quote or whatever, you can also say to them, listen, I'm also going to email you something that we put together because it's so important. It's going to be some documentation about nail placement and how important it is to put the nails in the right spot when you're installing the shingles. Give it a read. It's short and sweet. Or maybe it's long, who knows? But it's really interesting. You'll find it interesting. You plug it like that, get in their head a little bit so that they want to read it. And then send it to them as an email or a text message a day or two after you meet them, or right away. And if they read that, they're that much closer to the finish line with you. You're the one providing that information. And you can do that for a number of things. So these are just some ideas I've been thinking of, because when I create marketing for businesses, one of the things this is the kind of stuff that I do, but I do it instinctively. So what I've been trying to do is kind of look inward. What are the things that I just instinctively know to do at this point that makes my systems for roofers and other contractors work so well? And one of the things that I notice that I do is I educate in a way that psychologically gets people that I want to respond to do what I want them to do and think what I want them to think. And it's not manipulative. it's honest and true. This is all real information that you are sharing with people. And as a result of your sharing it with them, they are coming to the conclusions that you coincidentally would like them to come to. And, these are powerful, techniques for convincing people to consider you more than they're considering others for a particular job. So use them responsibly. If you are not good at what you do, don't tell people that you are. And if you're a shady, fly-by-night, person, do not convince people to use you and then screw their roof up. That's not cool at all. Be good at what you do. Live with integrity, and that will come off when you meet people, that energy. So these are just some things I've been thinking about. I'm going to make more of these videos in order to share I'm going to make more of these videos to share how I think about things when I'm creating advertising and marketing for my clients. And they're going to be very sort of theoretical and a little philosophical as well, and psychological and all that stuff, because that's the kind of thing that you need to learn in order to create good marketing and advertising. Obviously, I can't create good marketing and advertising for every single roofing contractor in the country. I don't have the bandwidth to do that, and frankly, I don't want to. I like having my clients and being able to give them the attention that they deserve. But if the theory behind what I do and the philosophy behind all of it and the psychology can be imparted onto others, who can then take that and do things with it, or if learning from me makes you want to hire me, then that's great. That's fantastic. So I'm going to continue looking inward at the kinds of things I instinctively do when I create marketing and advertising, so that I can try to distill them into words and explain it to you, because I find it all very fascinating. And that's really it. So that's it, guys. I got nothing else at the moment. I'll make more of these videos. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share this video on Facebook if you want. Give it a like. Ring the bell. I don't know. Do all the stuff that you can to share this with people. One of this is kind of beside the point, but one of the annoying things about these types of videos is that, if you're a roofer and you see this, you're very likely going to think to yourself, man, I wish I was the only one that saw this, because I don't want other roofers to know this stuff. You want it for yourself. So your inclination to share it is probably not there. If you wish you could take it down, off the internet completely. I know that might be a little presumptuous in thinking that the video is that good. It might not be. Who knows? Let me know. Comment below. Send me a message. And that's all I've got. See you guys.